So there was an exposure there, which moved me to the closing of it.
Okay, good. Okay, I like it. I'm going to ask you that.
Okay. I'm sitting on the back porch. Can you hear that, deer?
Well, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to Fly Girls Conversation. And I have my triplet on here, Tonya, Joyner, Scott. We call each other triplets because we do look alike. Okay. And so I have my triplet on here today. And today we're going to be talking about exposure brings closure. And I absolutely love this conversation because Tanya had this conversation with a group of us before, and it gave me goosebumps. And I was like, wow, 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 wow. And I just want her to share with you all. But today we're going to have a real fly girl conversation. I am so excited. And what is a fly girl? Well, you are looking at two fly girls. And a fly girl, first of all, she is fearless. Okay, she is fearless, she is unstoppable, she is unafraid, and most of all, she do not take no for an answer. Okay, and so I have on here today my girl Tonya Junior Scott, who is a multi-million-dollar earner in her industry. Not only that, she is a beautiful wife, beautiful friend, beautiful mother, and also and most of all, you are an amazing woman of God. You love the Lord. I love when you pray for me, Tanya. I really do. And so I want to bring up my girl, fly girl, Tonya Scott.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Hello, everyone. Bonita, it is such an honor to be here today. I'm excited. And then to know you've always been a fly girl, but to know that you done pinned me as one too. See, I accept that thing right there. So I'm so grateful and I'm excited. Thank you so much for offering me the opportunity to share.
But just let everyone know who's Tanya.
Wow. Well, you said a lot of it yourself, but who is Tanya Joyner Scott? Definitely a woman of God. I love the Lord. So grateful just to know Him. To be chosen. To learn. Even earlier, not too long ago, I had a text from someone, and I said, "Hey, keep me in prayer. I want to grow in knowledge. I want to grow in understanding." So that's the first and foremost. I am a wife. I'm a mommy. I am an entrepreneur. Um, uh, that's who I am. I love to see people heal. My thing is I have such a passion for emotions and people that carry things, and part of it is because of me. I've gone through so much in my life. We all do.
Mm-hmm.
I've dealt with different things, Bonita, and it resulted in carrying hurts. I'm a 50-year-old woman. And it wasn't until I really got into my 40s that I started being healed from all of the life experiences that I had. And that right there is something that I've grown to be a passion for me. I want to see other sisters healed. I want them to know who they are. I'm so mindful of identity. And the reason why that is because it took me coming to a place of understanding who I am, where deliverance began to take place,
Yeah.
where the healing began to take place, where I was able to let go of a lot of the hurts that I went through because I began to understand who I really am. So that's a little bit about who I am.
Fearless. Fearless. And that's why I say, we are definitely fly girls. And what, I gave the definition of fly girl. That's what fly girl means to me is that, we've been through some things. We've been through some stuff, right? And I was just talking to one of my good friends just about what you were saying. In my 30s, these are the best times in my life. I can't say I wish I was 20 again or 21 again. My 30s is when I really recognize who Bonita Lee McClain is.
Yes.
Who is she?
Come on.
And it's being able to go through some things. I've been through betrayal. You've been through betrayal, right? I've been through betrayal where I give my heart to you and then you get betrayed, right? And it's like, how does that happen to you? But things happen to you. It says in the word that God says, I give you the bread of adversity for you to walk ye in it, not run away from it and hide in the corner. He
That's
said, I want you to walk ye in it and learn from it because your adversity, the bread of adversity that he gives you, he wants us to learn from it.
mm-hmm.
And many of us stay in a cycle because we don't learn the lesson.
mm,
I believe that my 30s, I've learned a lot of lessons. And then we teaching from her. And that's what a fly girl does.
That's what a
keep it to herself. She exposes it. And so let's get into the conversation. The
topic, come on.
Is, you said that exposure brings closure.
Yes.
What do you, because that's her tagline. What do you mean by that? Give it to us. And I love when you talk about this.
This is so awesome. I'm listening to you and I'm like, well, wow, there you go. There's an exposing of a thing that closes it out. What do I mean by that? I don't care what it is that you go through in life. I don't care what obstacles come. This is how the enemy operates. And this is how an abuser is too. So this is what I liken it to, okay? An abuser, let's just bring it into the natural realm, all right? For people, women, sisters who sit at the hand of a man who is abusing her, whether it be physically or mentally or emotionally. Anybody, what do they want you to do? They want you to remain silent. There are things that happen to you and they want you to be hidden. I even had a family member once where I was just watching, as we were going along, living our lives. And I said to my husband, I said, I believe such and such is in an abusive relationship. And one of the behaviors of that abuse was silence. Another behavior was being isolated. They weren't around as much, just different things like that. Well, let's take it back to the enemy. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So oftentimes how he operates, he attacks the mind. And there are thoughts that we have and they're not communicated. There are feelings that we have and they're not shared. They're hidden. And so what does he do? He continues to fuel things in the head. He continues to whisper things to you. And we begin to have those things just kind of circulate through our mind and our way of thinking. And we find ourselves in isolation. Who can relate to this? You find yourself where you don't want to be around people. You find yourself where you won't share and you won't talk about how you really feel. You'll find yourself doing things to cover up who you are. Why? Because I'm trying to protect myself. I'm trying to protect, even in the natural, that person that may be sitting there bringing me harm. That's hidden. Expose it. When you begin to expose a thing, that's when you find the closure taking place. That's when you find yourself being freed, when you find yourself pretty much operating in liberty. And that's what I began to learn and understand. When Tonya Joyner Scott started sharing the fact that I'm a people pleaser. See, that's something I dealt with. I was one that was always trying to make everybody else feel better, and I will forsake myself. Now, there's something to understand. Putting other people before you is very different from being a people pleaser. I would allow people to walk all over me. I would allow myself not to do what was best for me because I was more concerned about your liking me. I was more concerned about your accepting me. Well, where did all that come from? I grew up with it. Why? I went through rejection. What kind? All kinds. Where people would reject me, where people didn't like me, from grade school all the way up through being a grown woman. And it hurt. And it was so deeply embedded in me, I was also in isolation. So I wouldn't share. I wouldn't talk about the things. And I finally began to identify that this is not who I am. And as I begin to expose it, when I begin to talk about it, when I begin to share, that's when the liberation came. Why? As the enemy would speak to me, I shut him down. So when I think about even the scripture that talks about resisting the devil and he'll flee from you, I begin to give resistance. Exposure brings about a resistance to what it is that's being spoken to you so that you can shut it down. That's when closure began to happen and my life is starting to be liberated.
I love when you were sharing. I love that you shared that. And I just want to kind of I want you to emphasize a little bit of the things that the enemy may be telling you. Because there's so many women that I know that you are watching this and you may say that you can't relate to Tonya, you can't relate to myself, right? You might say no one understands what I'm going through. You may feel like that because we don't wear a t-shirt where we say, I don't walk around with a t-shirt. No one walks around with a t-shirt and says that I am depressed. No one walks around with a t-shirt and say that I'm going through this or I'm being abused, right? It's all in here. And that's why we're saying expose it. But what are some of the things, Tonya, that the enemy can be whispering to you? Because I remember that the things that used to be whispered to me that I wasn't good enough or I didn't know enough. Like being in a circle with, you and Dexter, Dexter and Greg, Lanika, Denise, Twyla, right? I was the youngest. I was the youngest of everyone. And I remember when I was 30, 31 years old, feeling like, do I belong here? Did I go through what they've been through? Am I good enough? Do I know enough? And I used to feel like I wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the enemy will whisper that to you. You don't know enough. You're not smart enough. You've never been through what they've been through, or whatever, whatever it is. Or you're not skinny enough, right? You got to lose more weight to be, to look good on the stage. And things like that, right? You're not, and I remember those things. I remember trying to be like everybody else. And, I got into a situation where it wasn't good, and I can expose it, that I forced my husband. I was trying to force Hassan to be a network marketer. And because I would see you and Dexter, Greg and Lanika Scott, right? All of the couples. It was like all of these people, we were all couples and, as ambassadors with TLC. And I was just wanted my husband to be with me so bad. So I remember forcing Hassan to do things that he didn't want to do. And it really put a lot of pressure on our marriage.
Wow.
Trying to be like everybody else.
That's good, Bonita.
Until God shared with me, and I started to realize, and I started to look at Hassan on who he was. Mm. We've been married now for 13 years, so we've been married long enough for me to see all of the good qualities that he has, instead of me trying to be like everyone else. But I thought for me to be better in network marketing, that my husband needed to be with me up on that stage. Mm. And my husband needed to be with me on the calls, because that was what's going to make me better, or I was going to be able to fit in better. I remembered those things. And when I started to realize that I wouldn't even be here if my husband didn't hold me down, because when I'm on these calls, he in there cooking, or my husband was the one who brought us out of the hood before TLC. Right? Before network marketing, we wasn't living in the hood. My husband bought me a beautiful home. My husband, he changed my life. He loved me. He loves my daughter. Mm-hmm. He loved me. And when I started to see all of the good things about him and stop listening to what the enemy was trying to do, trying to really destroy me in my marriage, because he will attack your marriage. That's one thing I do understand. Mm-hmm. Things just made a twist. So what are some of the things that the devil was whispering? I want to say, I'm going to call him out, right? What are some of the things that he was whispering to you, and now you've been able to overcome that?
Wow, that's so good. You were actually describing it when you said, what does it look like, basically? And sometimes we don't understand and we don't realize what's happening. And it's because we don't understand who our adversary is. The Word of God teaches us and talks to us about who we actually fight against. And sometimes when things happen to us in the natural, it's still a spiritual thing. Why? That's what we're actually fighting. So you called out some that were, for me, I felt like I didn't have value. Oh God, it's so much that it could be, where you don't think you're good enough, where you might not think you're pretty enough, where there's so much comparisons that go on, oftentimes we identify success with an individual, and though they may have it, we'll think that's what it looks like only, and not that that's what it looks like and then some, because we all bring different things to the table. We look at similarities, and I mentioned this recently to a group that I was talking to. We can look at similarities on things and say, wow, but they're already operating in that, so that must not be for me. And that's a lie too. I'm telling you, the enemy brings all the things that you would sit and think about, the things that you would sit here and and process in your mind that will literally talk you out of your next, it is not of God. You know, you will always know if God is giving you pause to anything, but what he's not going to do is make you feel bad about who you are. And so if you're hearing things and you're having things and stories that you're saying and that you're telling yourself that's making you not feel good about who it is that God created, that's a problem. Now let's talk about some things. You may have made mistakes in your life. You may have done things that you may not have been proud of. That still has nothing to do with your true identity. Those are only things that the enemy would try to use to sabotage who you are. When you come to a place of understanding your value, when you understand your makeup, when you understand how God has created you and who he has called you to be, none of those things matter. He's given us provision in our lives to do what? Persevere. He's given us provision in our lives to do what? Overcome. He's given us the provision in our lives to do what? Excel. So anything that comes to try to attach itself to the true essence of who you are, that's not who you are. It's trying to attach. Then the enemy wants to put your attention on that. That's what you resist. How? There's exposure. How so? It's like, wait a minute. I see you.
Yeah.
That's not me. Yeah. I'm not that issue. I'm not that mistake. I'm not that failure. I'm not. Do you see what I mean? Who are you? And then you rise above it. This is how it works. It's amazing. Now, this can come into a breakdown even where you begin to try to understand, like, how does this work, Tonya? Because even something that you said just a minute ago, Bonita, there's something, it's a masking. So let's talk about being hidden first before I even go there. Let's talk about being hidden. There's a mask that oftentimes we'll put on. It's a means of protection. So I may show up at a place hurt and damaged, but I smile. And sometimes we hear things about being positive. We hear things about making affirmations. All of those things are good. However, that's just not solely it. It goes back again to identity, because you can make affirmations all day long. You can share things all day long. However, do you believe them? Do you really think that is so? Because how you really feel about yourself is what's going to be manifested in your life. All right. And that's when I can take you through a process. Okay. But I'm gonna wait just a minute to get back to you, Bonita, to see if I can share that now, or what, how do you want to do this?
No,
because
absolutely. I was actually trying to look up the scripture as you were talking. I'm trying to remember exactly what the scripture, I know it's in Matthew. And you said it, you said it, and it is so true, because it even says it in the word. It says it in the word, to confess it with your mouth, but also believe it in your heart, right? Because you can say anything. Your tongue is very powerful. Oh, believe me, your tongue is powerful. However, your heart is even more powerful. Do you believe it? Do you believe it? Confess it with your mouth. I am.
Come on.
But do you believe whatever you say after that, I am? Because I am is the most powerful words I really truly believe in the English dictionary. But do you believe in what you are saying after I am? So I am free. Are we free? Are you really free? Are you? And I always ask people, do you believe in what you're saying? Because if you don't believe it, if you don't believe it, then it's not going to happen. But the magic happens after you believe. So yes, go ahead, Tonya. I'm so glad that you said that, because you can say it, but you have to believe what you are saying.
Yeah. Well, remember last week, Bonita, we were in conversation. Bonita and I are part of a meeting together. Yeah. And we were talking about being focused. Yeah. Okay. And I shared something. So I hope that this really helps and blesses somebody who might even be dealing with some of the same things. Because let me even say this, Bonita, even as this is the thing, and this is a part I mentioned about being a people pleaser, right? So also think about being a perfectionist. Okay. Everything got to be right. Check. Is that I dotted? Is that T crossed? Okay. You see, that's how I was. Just that personality type, and many people can relate. Very logical, things have to work. And honestly, even as a woman of God, coming through when the first time, 1999, when I actually received the Lord as my Savior, for me, with that type of mindset, that type of being, the type of person that I was or am even, I felt like I got to get everything right. And I got to make sure I don't make no mistakes. And I got to make, y'all feeling me, okay? As I'm growing in him, all right? So what do we call this? Like a carnal Christian. I didn't have as much of a relationship, okay? I'm wanting that. I'm desiring that, but it wasn't happening for me because I'm just trying to get everything right. So let me tell you the kinds of things I would do. So if I would have an ill thought, if somebody even made me feel bad, I felt bad for feeling bad that I felt bad. Come on, hear me.
It's like you can't get past it.
You can't get past it. You see what I'm saying? So, and it's like, then I want to forgive. And then because I think about it again, it's like, oh my God, I'm having a problem with this. All of those types of, I hope somebody can relate to that, because this is how it works. This is how it was working for me. All right. So in that, with the carnal mindset, it's like I didn't know how to release. And a big part of that, again, had everything to do with not understanding who I am as his created being, understanding who I am in him, understanding what he has equipped me with. Okay. It was done when he took that final breath, and when he said it is finished, it was finished for everyone. Now it was a matter of picking up that mantle that he left for us and walking it out. But we've lived lives, we've gone through things, we have a way that we think, that personality type that I just described to you, where everything for me has to be dotted right, check this, that, and the other. And that was some of my issues that I was having. So now, to move forward just a little bit, as I begin to expose and begin to come to identify certain things, it helped me pretty much in walking out who I am, deliverance. You know, I was being unshackled from that type of thinking. And so when Bonita and I were on this call last week, I shared something. So this was an exposure. And the point that I wanted to make, even in going to all of that, is even as we grow, it doesn't mean that we still don't deal with things. It doesn't mean that there are things that still may not rise up that you would have to contend with. Why? Because we're going to have trials and tribulations, right? That's what's going to happen. But here's the thing. I am now in a place, because of my coming to understand who I am better and living the life as that young lady, as that child of God. Now that I'm coming to a place of understanding that my response to a thing is very different. That's a power. That's an ability. You see that? So one of my issues that I shared and I exposed a little bit, why? Because this was something that's really hurting me, bothering me, okay? And that was my weight, my size. I've always been a thick girl. Where my thick girls at? I have no idea who's watching up here. I see no comments or anything, okay? But I'm like, where my thick girls at? All right, always been thick, okay? Big legs, y'all. My legs always been big. The thighs, everything, hippie, all of that, okay? And I this is just how I've been. Growing up, I was fine with myself. But the older I've gotten, like I said, I'm now 50, you know, that metabolism slowed down a little bit, you know, things just not quite the same. And I didn't feel good. I'm an entrepreneur. One of the businesses that I have, we deal with health and wellness. So what are some of the things that begin to come in my mind? There was embarrassment I was already having, feeling a bit bad, like, man, I should be looking better than this. Why is it not happening? I'm trying this, you know, I lose it, come back, all of this. What also was I dealing with? I went through a period of stress, and that still could happen sometimes. One thing that I learned recently is stress isn't necessarily a bad thing. And that's a whole nother conversation. I'm not going to go into that right now. But again, there are things in our bodies that God has even put in our brain that helps to, if there's stress, it's like, ooh, there's something I need to set my attention to, but I'm still in the mode of control as to how am I going to handle this situation. But a lot of times we can take on stress and make it overpower and overtake us. That brings us to a place of not moving. Well, that's a period that I had even gone through. So what else was going on? I ended up where I started having seizures. Didn't know that. I was 48 years old. All of a sudden, I'm having what felt like out of body experiences, Bonita. And when I had my husband to say, I need you to start watching me, took me to the doctor. That's when I found out I was having them. I had also entered a state of depression, suicidal thoughts, hallucinations, panic attacks. It was crazy. I was miserable. So it was during this period that all of a sudden this weight just began to come back on me even the more. And even since that time, it's been more difficult for me to even shed the pounds as I was doing before. Before I could make a decision, and at least it was coming out something. I was feeling better and all of that. And then I was finding that that wasn't happening. So now let me tell you what happened. I get a message, and the message was sent to me on Facebook. Hurt my heart because this person basically insulted me about being a part of the health and wellness industry, but she's looking and seeing the weight, not knowing anything about the seizures, not knowing anything about the depression, but it fueled it even the more. And I was miserable. And even since then, it has been difficult for me. As I would work, I would try and doing different things. And it was just like, what in the world is going on? And so even now I could pass by a mirror. Let me tell you, you mentioned Bonita before. You talked about, well, what kinds of things come to your mind? How about when you walk into a room and you always feel like I'm always the biggest one? All the girls get together. I'm in the photo shoots. We downtown Raleigh before. Well, I'm always the biggest one. So then what am I? Come on. But then what am I feeling? I'm like, I don't feel good about myself. I'm not good enough. What do I need to do? Why is it so easy for them to go exercise and for me it's not? Why is it that they said, how much water they drink a day? What? And so, see, these are conversations. Yeah. What are the conversations that you're having? What conversations are you having with yourself? I'm asking you. I want you to think about these types of things because this is the entryway of the enemy to do what? Bring you to a standstill. Why? You have an authority over him. What does he want you not to know? It. Yes. He doesn't want us to know that we have that. He doesn't want us to know that we have the authority. So I'm going to continue to talk to you. And then what do? We engage with them. We have the conversation. We take it on. And then it moves us to a place of believing, to a place of action. And that right there is what I had to deal with. So as I shared that on last week, and I want to talk about focusing, we just said exposure brings closure. One thing that I was afraid to do even was, I probably should have done it today, but wear an outfit where I would actually show my arms. And on that call that day, I had on a t-shirt. I was about to go work out. And I had a sweatshirt right there with me. And I was about to put it on because I was told that you're going to be asked to share. I want you to share a little bit about focusing, Tonya. And I looked at that sweatshirt and I picked it up and then I just put it back down. I said, I'm not gonna wear it. I said, I need to do some exposing right now. I'm gonna be me. I'm not gonna sit here and hide. That's another thing that we do. We mask. We learn how to mask. We try to hide behind the feeling. That's where the smile comes from sometimes. It's okay to cry. It's okay to shout it out. It's okay to say, I'm tired of this. It's okay to let it out. Now, when there's a release, come on, somebody. I just heard God say, because what happens, you release that thing and it can travel up in the airwaves and now he's attentive to it. Mm-hmm. But if I stay hidden behind the hurt, if I stay hidden behind the pain, what am I trying to do? Handle it myself. No need. Release that thing. His ears is in tune. There's an empowerment that would take place for who? You. Why? Because you've already been equipped. So that's what I decided to do in that moment on last Friday. And I put the shirt down and I had a conversation with the people just as we're here having a conversation right now. And we were dealing with focus. Focusing means you have thoughts. Those thoughts they come into your mind. And as you think about a thing, we end up drawing assumptions from them. What are you assuming? That goes into, what do I assume about myself? That I'm not good enough, that I don't look good enough, that I can't handle it. I'm assuming I'm always the biggest. I'm assuming I'm always whatever. You know, whatever your situation may be, what are the assumptions? Because those assumptions that we make, they generate what? Emotions. Emotions fuel. Emotions are powerful. If there's something that, whatever you feel, that's why when you hear us talk about things where we say, well, what is it that you desire? But do you believe it? Listen to what Bonita just said. Do you believe it? How do you believe it? It's fueled with emotion. It's fueled with how you feel. And that's the thing that stimulates it and keeps it going. Do you see that? Then what happens? Because whatever it is that you have that emotions toward, that's what begins to build up your belief system. This is big. Because you will believe that, because you're now telling the body, and this gets into so much more, but I'll just keep it simple. It gives it, I'll just say it this way, even into the subconscious mind. Now the subconscious mind, which is there serving you, is saying, that's what she wants. That's what she believes. So that's what I'm going to continue to keep before her. Your belief systems move you to what? Action. So let me take you back to my situation. When I exposed it, because this was my issue, my weight came back in my arms and then some. I was like, I ain't never had my arms look like that. What's going on with my arms? I was so ashamed of them. I felt bad. I was trying to keep it covered. You see, that's what I did. So by me not putting my sweatshirt on last week, it was with the intent of, I'm gonna expose. Why? Because I no longer want to fuel that. I'm now gonna fuel myself. My emotions is gonna be tied to who I am. My emotions are gonna be tied to the fact that I am a child of God and that I'm beautiful. My emotions are going to be to, I'm going to go ahead and work out. Why? Because my actions was fueled to what I believe. My actions was fueled to the fact that I couldn't. My actions was fueled to, which is why I wouldn't work out on a consistent basis, which is why I wouldn't keep going, which is why I wasn't drinking the water, which is why I wasn't making better food choices. Why? Because my actions is fueled by what I believe. So I said, who am I? And I'm now going to fuel what I believe, that I can do it, that I do look good, that I am dropping it. And because I believe this about myself, my actions have been, I've been working out. I'll get here. I've got the mat in my room now. I've done some things. I've got a maxi climber. I've been going up and down. Good God Almighty for that. I've been drinking more water. I've been making better food choices. Are y'all hearing me? That's my actions. What do actions do? They form habits. Mm-hmm. Because after a while, it'll be like second nature. Yep. And from those habits is where your lifestyle shows and comes.
Oh, Tonya.
That's the process.
That was so good. And I'm so glad you broke that down like that, because I was just going to say, when she put that sweatshirt down, that right there, she believed. Mm-hmm. She believed. And she said, you know what? I'm going to read one of my affirmations to you that I say every day. And this actually ties right into who Tonya is, because she is the upgrader, right? Yeah. I am continuously upgrading my self-image to reflect the person I truly want to be. I am continuously upgrading my self-image to reflect the person I truly want to be. Now, who do Bonita want to be? Who do you want to be? Who do Tonya want to be? How do you upgrade yourself, Tonya? I want you to explain that or break that down to some people, because you and your husbands. Oh God, I'm sorry, Dexter. Sorry, Dexter. Because I want to come now. I'm going to make me some steaks on the grill.
We ready for you.
You two are the upgraders.
Yes.
How do you upgrade yourself? I know you got to believe it. I know you have to believe it. You have to take action. But walk us through the process of how you upgrade yourself.
Oh, wow. You're going to have to be challenged. And thank you for that because we are the upgraders. And our tagline is this: we may not know you, but we know what's in you. And now we're also asking people, are you ready for the challenge? Because I've been saying it even throughout. There's a resistance that we all have to go through to be upgraded. Come on. Everything that's upgraded means it gets better. From a TV, I'm looking around at our phone now. I just got the Max 11 Pro. I think it was March or April, something like that. Or no, it was last year this time. I think I had one more month. So about September last year or so, I got the phone, but now they're about to bring out a 12. So there's always something that's there. So there's something, you go through a process. It's a cleansing. It's a purging that takes place. So there's a challenge that everybody has to go through if you desire to be upgraded. All right. So in that process, what do? There's a resistance to the normal. There's a resistance to what it is that I'm used to, because anything that's upgraded simply means that it's better. It's going to get better. So that's what we've been doing. And you asked also, well, how? How do you go through the process? It's reading. Okay. It's prayer. All right. It's taking time to identify and to expose. When there's exposure going on, now what do I need to do to help in this area? It's a matter of understanding and coming to know who you are and walking in it. It's all of those types of things. And it's a process, and it's okay. And that's sometimes, and I think a lot of times in the world that we live in, Bonita, we come so used to things happening so fast that we don't understand process. They figured out a faster way to make the burger. They figured out a faster way for you to get it. We now have drive-throughs. How many of us don't like commercials anymore? Because you can watch TV and fast forward through them because you can record it to watch it later. You don't even need a VCR anymore. Everything goes through that process. So we end up where we don't want to go through the process that's necessary for that purging to take place, for the limb to come off, in order for the fruit that we all have to grow and manifest and be better. That right there is what Dexter and I have been doing, and we continue to do. We hold each other accountable. We take the time to look at what it is that we need to improve on. 2 days ago, Wednesday, I felt these feelings coming up. I'm like, what in the world is going on with me? In the very place that I'm sitting right now, I called my husband. I said, I need you. And he sat here at the chair next to me, and he listened. And I said, I need you to talk to me. And I released to him my emotions. I released to him my feelings. I let him know. I'm like, what's going on? And he challenged me. And we went through a purging right there ourselves. Dexter and I also do cleansings. We're mindset development coaches. So there are things that we have, even where we understand things that we go through, it enters into the subconscious mind, and there it is. So there's cleansings that we even would do in our own thoughts, and we begin to say, that's not it. Let's remove that out of our minds. And the affirmations that you even spoke, we begin to speak to receive, and then we walk it out in the process. Again, a lot of times we think that something happens overnight. It's a process. You actually move, and now you walk that thing out, which is going to do what? It fuels back into the subconscious mind the truth of what it is that you want and who you are, because you're uprooting who you aren't and what you don't. And that's the process. And it's life. It's life. It's life. It's life. And you keep going.
Keep going. Oh my goodness, Tonya, this is so good. This is so good. One of the things that I've learned is that you always want to be better than what you were yesterday. You should want to be better than what you were yesterday. You have to be ambitious with your goals. That's one thing that I know about you, that you are very ambitious with your goals. When you set a goal, you are very ambitious with it. And then you start to manifest those things in your life because your thoughts, what you were thinking, they say as a man thinketh, is as he is. And so those thoughts and then those emotions, I tell my oldest daughter, this stuff all the time. Be careful on what you think all the time, and the emotions. Because when you shared earlier that someone gave you a call about your weight? Well, from us just reading thoughts become things and all those type of things, that's something that you were thinking all the time. And that was the emotion that you were feeling. Mm-hmm. And so now I want to say, and I don't, it sounds a little harsh, but now do you realize, like, are you really surprised that that person called you? Because the enemy recognizes your emotions.
That's so
enemy
good.
knows what you feel. So he's going to send his little devils. You best to believe, just because we are human beings, you best to believe that just like the Holy Spirit can live in you, the enemy can live in people too. That he will send those enemies to you because you're already feeling that. So now he is going to just keep, he is just going to keep lighting that fire until you expose him.
Come on.
And say, I had enough.
That's good, Bonita.
I put my sweatshirt down.
Come on.
I wear my tank top. I put my shoulder out. Yeah. Say something to me now. What you got to say? What you got to say about my arms that I don't know?
I'm a fly girl. Oh. I love it. That's so good because it's airways. And the enemy is the prince of the air. The word of God teaches us that he's the prince of the air. We talk about the law of vibration. We talk about frequency. We talk about what's being released. And basically what you just described, and I want everybody to catch this, is when you give the enemy access, there's open portals. There's an open portal. He said, oh, I got access. So then he slithers his way through the very opening that we give. Now, come on. What did I tell you earlier? We're the ones with the authority. We're the ones who have the power. So he's only able to gain access where we give it to him. Yeah. So if I've given him the access because this is how I feel, this is the frequency I'm releasing, this is the vibrations that I'm releasing from myself, this is my emotions, these are my belief systems. So if this is what I'm releasing, it did give that access. And now it is. So I still had the power. I still have the authority. How am I going to handle this? Now what do? And there's a resistance. So catch that. That's absolutely amazing. You are as and I just heard the word dethroned. So let me just say, you won't ever be dethroned.
Right.
From that place that God has set us. Walk it out. Be you. Be you.
Well, I just want to thank you so much, Tonya. I'm so grateful to have you as a friend. You and Dexter are just, Hassan and I, we absolutely love you. You know we do.
We love you.
You know we absolutely love you. But is it one, not that is it, I already know you have it. Is it a quote? And I want everyone.
That's a Dexter thing.
Huh?
That's a Dexter thing.
That's a quote or something that you want to just leave with us before we end. You always leave with something powerful, but I want everyone to write this down because one of the things that Tonya just said, she said, be you.
Yes.
Be you. I'm an identical twin. Someone who looked just like me, same lips, same teeth, even our DNA is the same. Okay. I have someone who looked just like me. And I never forget when my teachers would say, because I was talkative in school, Tonya, and I like to be with my friends. I say, hey, why you was out of school yesterday? I wasn't a bad kid. I just like to talk, right? It's a blessing. I get paid to do it now. But when I was little, I used to get hit. That's when they used to get hit kids, in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s. You could get hit with a ruler for talking too much. But I would get hit. And I never forget a teacher said to me, why can't you be more like your sister? I remember going home. My mom used to dress us alike, and she loved the fact that she had twin girls. And I said to my mom, if you ever dress me like her again, I will burn my clothes. And I must have scared my mom, and she never dressed us alike again. I was in elementary school.
Wow.
But that was the day when I said, I am going to be me and not like her. And I was a kid. I'm going to always be me. No matter if you are identical twin, you look like someone or whatever the case may be you. Mm-hmm. Tonya, I love that you said that.
Yeah.
The only person that you can be is you.
Yes.
So is there anything not that is anything, can you close us out?
Okay. Well, I would definitely, yes, let's close out. And I was actually say I just asked my husband, said, well, let me get my phone. And I was actually just thinking about there's a poem, and I don't know it by heart like he does. He can say it, it's like I can say it with them. There's different pieces of it, but I'm like, he is so brilliant when it comes down to things like that. But just in the closing, all of us out, there's so much that we shared on today. The things that we've actually talked about. And even now, as Bonita is saying, for me to say, just be you, be yourself. That is something that I had to get to a place of owning myself. So I just want to leave everybody with this, that no one is you, and that is your power. I want you to walk in your power. I want you to embrace it. I want you to know that it's good enough. I want you to know that there's absolutely nothing that you cannot do and or accomplish. The only person that ever stands in the way of you is you. So get out of your own way, own the essence of who you are, own it, and walk in your power. And as one half of the upgraders, I just want to leave you again with saying that we may not know you, but we know what's in you. And we're challenging everyone now to go after your very own upgrade.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tonya. So thank you everyone for joining the Fly Girls Conversations. Remember, we are here every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be seeing you next week again. I am starting a Fly Girls community. I'm really excited about that. A Fly Girls community. And we're going to be doing some exercises together. I'm not talking about exercises like this. I'm talking about some exercises to get you to the point where you are fearless, to get you to the point where you are unafraid, to get you to that point where you are unstoppable. So I will be creating a Fly Girls community. If you would like to be a part of that, go ahead and please leave a comment in the comment section and let me know, and I will be sending you the link. And again, thank you so much, my Fly Girl, my sister Tonya Scott, for joining us. And we will see you all over the top, because the bottom is way too crowded for us. God bless.